Hey guys, came from 15, joined with my uncle Daryl, back with another Chicago Bears video. This video has been a long waiting list of a video to be made. Had a bunch of
Yeah,
stuff going on, but we're here. Obviously, we missed this. Well, we missed our Super Bowl recap. If you want our quick thoughts, it was basically an ass whooping. Uh, that's essentially what it was.
I was going to turn it off in the third quarter once that touchdown Devontae Smith happened at
Mhm.
31-0. At that moment, I was just like, "Oh, that was a kill shot. Game over."
Yeah. But in the meantime, while that was happening, the Bears were making some moves. Obviously, the coaching staff is now fully made, which they posted to their social media page. They got all their coordinators, everybody there and everything.
Yep.
So I'm good. We already did do an initial reaction video about the Ben Johnson hiring, so we talked about that. But again, Ben Johnson being the head coach of the Bears, I'm fine with it. That's the top candidate. I'm okay with it. Look, if in 4 or 5 years, if it fails and it falls on its place, I'm not mad because at least you went out there and you tried to put your best foot forward. You got the best available candidate. You tried to do something to get Caleb Williams off on the right foot. For whatever
Correct.
reasons, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Now, the questions will it be more because of him or will it be because more of the inabilities of the roster? Are the players not stepping up and doing their jobs? Only time will tell throughout the course of his contract or his tenure here. We'll see.
Yeah.
But the number one thing about this coaching staff that I do like is he has obviously some connections to some of these coaches, but I think the one thing that I did like the most out of most of these coaching staff hires that we're going to probably talk about a bit, is the fact that they all got experience in some aspect or some form of football.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I'll take any needs of experience because that was the problem with Eberflus. When Eberflus was here, he didn't have any guys in here with experience. He just had his cronies that he brought in from Indy or any sort of connections that he had in case like a Luke Getsy or a Shane Waldron because let's try to patchwork things and we weren't holding those dudes accountable,
Yeah.
and things like that. So let's start off with obviously the first hire that came out of, well, was really rumored when he was hired, when Ben Johnson was hired, but Dennis Allen being the defensive coordinator of the Bears. He basically is going to run the same 4-3 defense, but the one thing that we do know of Dennis Allen, he's more aggressive than soft little Eberflus was.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I like about Dennis Allen is just what you basically said before. He has experience. He has experience not only as a coordinator, obviously one of the best in the league. Typically, when he's a coordinator, that defense is usually somewhere in the top 10. So, and he also has head coaching experience as well. So, I really, really, really like the hire. I did. And, moving forward, I think with the way the Bears have previously played before, I think Dennis Allen would be able to bring this defense over the top.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what type of defensive additions he wants to add to this team because
Yeah.
I bet you that they're obviously looking over the roster right now, and that we can. I even though I made my own separate video about it
Yeah.
a few days ago, recording it, I still got to take it up, put it up on YouTube.
Yeah, I was
Probably will
wondering
be.
why you hadn't put anything up. I've been looking.
Yeah, I
And I
haven't.
was
I
like,
haven't posted anything.
yeah, I was about to say, because I mean, I gotta have my football fix.
I've been
And
busy. I've
yeah,
been busy.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
settling into a new job.
I've been busy. I've been busy. I'm sitting over here just sitting around, you know, chilling, recovering from shoulder and leg injuries, and now and then I'm looking at the TV, looking at trying to find something to do, and I go to the YouTube channel. I'm like, man, last video we did was
The prediction video.
the prediction video.
Yeah.
We did this stuff already, so I'm just like, okay,
But
let me let me just maybe he'll have something come up,
yeah.
and maybe just maybe we can get something going. But
Yeah. But
be
I
that as
recorded.
it
I
may,
still gotta.
whatever.
Yeah, I recorded. I still gotta edit it and post it. But one of the first few cuts we heard on, especially on the defense side of the ball, Demarcus Walker, he got cut.
He
Saves
got
us
cut.
five
Yeah,
5.5 million in cap space. And maybe that was a Dennis Allen move. They watched the film and they're like, look, this guy is a solid player, but for the production he's getting, or he's get having the last 2 seasons, and what we're paying him, it's not worth that 5 million.
Yeah, and I
Dude,
agree with that as well too. As much as he showed, flash and promise, but again, that paycheck he was getting just wasn't matching the production. I get it. And I mean, he did show some flashes of, what could be. But in the end, man, when you're making 5 mil, yeah, I think you got to produce a little bit more than what you've been doing. So,
and like, yep.
yeah.
The last
So,
2 seasons, he had 3.5 sacks in both seasons, but then when he came up from Tennessee, he had like 7.2.
yeah, yeah,
Now, obviously, that's because the Tennessee defensive line was immensely better than the last 2 years of the Chicago Bears. On top of it, you had Mike Vrabel basically as the head
yeah,
coach, opposed to Eberflus. But
yeah.
regardless, it still wasn't good enough. So, Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen, they watched the film. They probably went up to Ryan Poles to be like, "Look, he seems like a good locker room guy, but we got to let him go."
Yeah, we gotta let him go. And also in addition to that, I mean, I think Dennis Allen is also he knows what he wants
Hmm.
with the roster, so he probably already has some ideas of what type of players he wants to go grab.
Yep.
So and I just don't think Walker fit into the long-term plans of the Chicago Bears based on what Dennis Allen has seen with this roster.
Yeah. So that's basically it of Dennis Allen. His defenses can be top 10. The Saints defenses were good. The only reason why they didn't look as good is because they were ravaged through the injury. But
Yeah,
that what more else can you say? Now, does he have connection? I don't think the Bears are going to go after Cam Jordan unless he's willing to take
no,
a massive pay cut for
that's a
whatever
pay cut.
reason.
No. Mm-mm.
No, I
And on
do.
top of that, now, granted, let's be honest with you, the Bears do have a lot of cap room. I
Yeah,
think somewhere upwards around 80
I think it's
million
like
dollars.
around.
Yeah, I think it's like 80 million because the last couple of cuts they made, they did, apply some funds back to the cap. But to sit up here and grab Cam Jordan, no, I can't see that. I can't see that. And I would probably even go as far as to say I wouldn't be shocked if they go with an edge rusher with that 10 pick.
Yeah,
So
it
um
depends again. It depends what they address in free agency.
that's correct. That's correct. So and keep in mind, even though they might address a couple of things in free agency, you got a couple of edge rushers, one specifically in Penn State and one specifically in
Oh,
Georgia.
he's not making
That
out the top five.
um, no, no,
Carter's not
no,
making
no.
out the top.
Carter's probably not, but that cat from Georgia,
I'd probably go with Mason Graham if he's available before I go with the Georgia dude.
maybe so, maybe so. But the Georgia cat, he's got some physical skills, and I like Mason Graham. Don't get me wrong.
Well, I would say that just for defensive tackle to back up Billings because we
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
need
yeah,
that
yeah,
falling
yeah,
on
yeah. I
him.
mean, but also there's a couple of defensive tackles on. I mean, let's just be honest. It's about 20, a
Yeah,
good 20 defensive line players that are filtered throughout this draft. So I get it. We won't be. I still think we're going to go O line with number 10.
yeah,
Let me just I'm gonna
yeah.
just go ahead and throw that out there because there's so many edge rushers in this draft
Yeah.
that even if we don't get it at the one we want at number 10. Now, granted, if Carter falls all the way down to number 10, dude, you gotta do
Oh
what
yeah,
you
you
gotta.
got to take it. You got to just
Yeah,
take it.
you got to take him. I mean, even if the Bears, let's just say, move up, which they are not. I'm
They're
not
not.
gonna
They're
say
not. They're
that
not
they're
giving up
not gonna
draft capital.
they're not gonna move up just to go get Carter.
Yeah,
Especially when you got probably 10 other cats that could probably do the job and you can get them in the later rounds.
yeah.
So, but back on topic, I would probably say I just would not be shocked that if they went that route with number 10.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked. So, releasing Walker wasn't a big deal for
Wasn't a
me.
big deal. Even though
Yeah.
Bear fans all over Twitter were like,
Oh
not
my
all of
God.
them, but most Bear fans were like, "Why the hell we cut Demarcus Walker?" Like, I'm like,
I mean, come on now. I mean, his sack total over the last couple years was piss poor at best, in my opinion. I mean, you know, we need a guy that can put up those sack totals, let's just say in 10 games, not necessarily 2 years.
Yeah.
I think that's what the Bears are looking for.
Yeah.
So, Dennis Allen, a great selection for defensive coordinator. When he was a defensive coordinator, just like I said before, his defenses were top 10.
Yeah. So next up on the list of coaches for the coordinators is Declan Doyle, the offensive coordinator, he's the new offensive coordinator. He's coming over from the Denver Broncos. He was
Yeah.
last their tight ends coach. Now, I
Yeah.
remember when he was first hired, Bear fans were like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Now it seemed like the two leading candidates were like him and then not Jim Caldwell, Brian Shaw. He ended up taking a position. I forgot what position it was with the Lions. I think it was an offensive coordinator position. No, no, it wasn't. I have to look up, but he took an offensive role there. Now the reason why, as to maybe he went with the Lions as opposed to the Bears, maybe he wanted to call plays, but we already know Ben Johnson is a staple
Yeah,
here.
of course. Of
And
course.
then he Declan Doyle's pretty young. And Ben Johnson said he wanted an offensive coordinator that's willing to be there basically late hours. All I see Declan Doyle doing is basically overseeing the offense, making sure, he's going to probably be in the booth, making sure that Ben Johnson knows, like, hey, this is what they're giving us on the field during these games.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
man, we might need to change our approach up, or like obviously help out with the game planning process with Ben Johnson. Basically, be that second eye for Ben Johnson if he doesn't see it at first, but then he picks up on something. And it's a good learning opportunity. The dude's a young dude. If he gets his name out there and the Bears are successful, who's to say, he goes, gets himself an opportunity to whether maybe he just leaves to go take another offensive coordinator position where he's the play caller, like the number one play caller, or he just gets a head coaching gig and he learns a lot from Ben Johnson. I'm all right
Right.
with the move. And maybe he can also help with the tight end room stuff. I know the tight ends in Denver weren't as productive, but I mostly attributed to that. They barely had no talent at the tight end position in
Yeah.
Denver. So you
Yeah.
can't really blame him for their tight end deficiencies. They don't got the necessary weapons for the tight end to work over there in Denver. But and then lastly, if you're coming from the Sean Payton tree, because he was not only with Sean Payton in Denver, he was with Sean Payton back in New Orleans. So Sean Payton speaks highly of this dude. If it's somebody from the Sean Payton tree, I'm taking somebody from that tree because that's a tree that's good.
Yeah, and I agree with you there as well too. I mean, he's a young dude. Um, And I agree with your assessment that while he's up in the booth, he can see things up in the booth that Ben Johnson obviously may have a little issue with seeing on the field. Now, I know Ben Johnson prefers to be on the field, as we've seen when the Bears have played Detroit as well as other teams have played Detroit. The Ben Johnson prefers to be on the field, but it's also a good thing to be able to have that second set of eyes up above so you can exactly see what the defense is in and you might be able to get some last second audibles out of it. So I do like that. Um and again, he is a young dude. So that gives the Bears a long-term solution at the offensive coordinator position. So here it is, you got your head coach, you got your offensive coordinator, and on top of that, you got a defensive coordinator who I gotta admit, he may be done looking for head coaching opportunities. He may be like Steve Spagnuolo, just like, you know what, hey, I'm good with being a DC. I could do this a long time. Ben, we can run this for a long time, and you won't have to worry about these positions.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's the last thing I forgot to mention. He's already failed 2 times being a head coach. Who's to say like I'm
Yeah.
just gonna stay being a defensive coordinator?
Yeah, he may not want that opportunity again. I mean, it happened with Spagnuolo. I mean, he just wasn't successful as a head coach. So he just probably, you know what, Andy, I'm gonna just come on back with you, and man, we can run this. And I'm content with being a defensive coordinator, and hopefully that's where Dennis Allen is right now.
Yeah. Um, the special teams coordinator is going to be Richard Hightower. He's returning from the last regime.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it personally. Now, the word was they were trying to get the former New Orleans Saints special teams coordinator. he didn't want to take the job, and I think he's going to go to Denver. So if that was your number one target, you can't go wrong with bringing somebody back. Richard Hightower's got familiarity with the guys in the special teams room, so all in all, I'm fine with it. I would just hope he makes sure as he understands to shore up the interior line blocking for field goal kicks so we don't get blocked field goals again. But,
Yeah.
regardless, if you're asking me if there was any staple or any coaching staff member from the Eberflus regime to return, it would probably be Richard Hightower. I have no issue with it. He didn't do anything that got in the team's way. It was morally the other coaches that affected him. But regardless, at the end of the day, you can't have back-to-back block field goal kicks. That was really his only blemish. But other than that, he was honestly, I didn't have to have any issues about the guy. So I'm all right with it. It is what it is.
I'm all right with it as well too, especially considering the new rule changes was in their initial year last year, and the Bears didn't seem to have any slippages on returns, especially kick returns. There was a couple in which Tyler Scott just seemed to be confused as far as where he was going, but that was early in the year.
Mhm.
Later in the year, I think they really did. They cleaned up a lot of things, and yeah, those two kicks were an eyesore. I'll say that. But at the same time, Joe, all in all, the time that Hightower's been there, I think the special teams has been pretty good.
Yeah. Um, so the next coach is Antoine Randall L. He is the former Detroit Lions wide receiver coach. His title is now assistant head coach and the wide receivers coach. Um, I was absolutely excited for this hire. I believe this is a really good hire. It's also a lot of confidence Ben Johnson is making him be the assistant head coach, but also it's another way to get him to come over to Chicago because if you're just hiring the guy to do the same position title, well, that's league mandates. You can't do that. You got to give him basically a
Yeah.
raise. But regardless, like I'm happy with this move, and hopefully he's a wide receivers coach we're looking for to actually develop the talent at the position we have in the building. Obviously, get DJ Moore playing at a higher level than he did. Getting Rome Odunze to continue and to grow, but even maybe giving guys like Tyler Scott a chance to grow and all these other
Yeah.
dudes we've had. Because the last few receiver coaches, yes, they were good in name and it looked like a good hire at the time. But the one problem is they were never developing guys in the building we had drafted. And this guy has a resume, with being with Detroit, he developed Amon-Ra St. Brown and got him to the all-pro receiver he was. He
Yeah.
developed a Khalif Raymond, a Jamison Williams, and that's another thing.
Patrick too.
Oh yeah,
Patrick too.
getting Patrick back on the right foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, what I like most about the whole thing is that we got a coach from one of our competitors within the division, another one. So these hires that the Bears have made, Ben Johnson and Antoine Randall specifically, yes, it does a little damage to the Detroit Lions, and I got to admit, I really like that.
Yep. And he's also one of those coaches that, we forgot to mention with Dennis Allen. He's going to be one of the type of coaches on this coaching staff going to hold their players accountable. We remember the Thanksgiving Day game this past year. Jamison Williams did a stupid thing to freaking Tyreek Stevenson, and guess who they focused the camera on after Williams got back to the sideline? Antoine Randall L. basically chewing
Antoine
him out, telling him
Randall.
like, "Do not do that. You're not supposed to do that." And they basically benched
Yeah.
him.
Yep. Yep. And again, that's what good coaches do. They make sure they hold their players to a higher standard. Unfortunately, Eberflus didn't do that in Chicago. I mean, he pretty much let the inmates run the asylum. You
Yeah,
know,
clearly.
specifically Tyreek Stevenson. Players going to the media afterwards and voicing their
Yeah.
so-called
Opinion.
opinions. And I mean, and Eberflus just didn't really
He was too
be.
nice of a guy to be the head coach. He wanted to be everybody's
Yeah,
friend.
I mean, he wanted to be a leader, but you know, what he wound up being was, a bit of a wimp.
Yeah.
I mean, DJ Moore said things in the press. I mean, Cole Kmet said things in the press, and I mean, we're not going to get started on other wide receivers that said certain things in the press.
Yeah.
So it was just it just wasn't a good look at all.
Yeah. I really do hope the new coach is coming in. I have two things with the new coach, Ben Johnson staff. Number one, I hope this whatever leadership council that consisted of 8 freaking players being freaking captains or leaders or whatever, it's dead. I hope they literally look at the roster and like, all right, this is a captain, this is a captain, this is a captain. And it's actually captains. Don't give it
Yeah.
because, oh, their name is DJ Moore. I love DJ Moore. But last year, the stuff he was pulling, that was not captain stuff right there. I would have
And on
revoked the
top of
seat.
that, you gave captain to Caleb Williams, a rookie.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so I hope
Yeah,
the staff
I'm
goes
with
in
you on
and
that one.
actually like identifies, no, who are the leaders of this team? Who are the captains of this team?
And
Yeah.
even still, it may take a couple games
Yep.
to decide who that person is. I said, but you just don't start the year by making a rookie you're a captain of the team.
Yep.
So
I personally believe if you're gonna have 4 captains, 2 from offense, preferably one has to be an offensive lineman.
mhm.
2 from defense, or maybe 1 from defense and 1 from special teams as a captain.
Sounds good to me.
And then another thing, I hope also the coaches tell these players, as much as I understand they're probably more than likely contracted with these outlets, I would honestly be very happy if Ben Johnson would tell these players, you're not doing no radio show. So get off
Mhm.
that. You're not going Cole Kmet. You're not going on CHG on doing your Cole Kmet podcast. That's dead. Tell them you ain't doing that. Jalen Johnson,
Yep.
don't go on 670 The Score. DJ Moore, you ain't doing that because we're keeping things in house. They want to reach out to us. They're going to reach out to our HR department and they're going to ask us, is it okay? And we're going to tell them no. Because
Yeah.
right now, you guys don't deserve to be on any radio shows. Now, obviously, at the end of the day,
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say they don't deserve to be. All I'm saying is that, if
if you're gonna go on it,
frustration,
don't put things out that's
yeah,
coming out from the locker room.
don't put your business out in the street. I mean, you know what I mean when I say that. It was just
Yeah.
like, don't put your business out in the street.
Yeah.
Answer questions, have cordial conversations.
Yeah.
But don't just get up in there and just,
Yeah.
I mean, like one interview I saw with Jalen Johnson, dude had a do-rag on and a wife beater. And he talking about, a private conversation, and he just looked angry.
Yeah.
So I was just like, man, for me, that just wasn't a good look.
Yeah. And, I hope, look, that's the thing. I would, if they're gonna do the radio shows, I hope these coaches be like, you keep anything, and if they ask you a question that involves any locker room talk, tell them respectfully,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bring it up.
Nope.
Next question.
That's a conversation that was held in house, and that's exactly where it's going to stay.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Antoine Randall, he also was in 2 seasons with the Buccaneers, and one of those years was the year they won the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. So again, he was an offensive assistant on that team. So again, that's quality experience. And if you're
And
working
on top of that, he was a pretty fine football player as well too.
Yeah.
So, and anyone who's actually seen Antoine Randall play, the guy could actually play.
Yeah.
And play well. So he does give it. He does give leadership from an experience standpoint, not only being a coach, but also being a really good player too. And I think players actually will respect that.
Yeah. The next coach on this list, that I'm pulling up right now, his name is his name is Matt Aponte. I'm gonna pull up it because they got it on the Bears website, if I can find it. Well, hold on. Where? Oh, well, regardless, he's the offensive qualities control coach with the Bears. He's coming over from the college ranks. He was at University of San Diego. It's morely like a Division II like school. regardless, it's just kind of one of those other dudes in the building that are going to just help Ben Johnson be there to review film, watch over stuff, make sure that things are
Correct.
obviously okay. That's realistically his freaking job. So I have no issue with it. Yeah, he joined the Bears. He's joining the Bears staff. His most recent position was offensive coordinator slash quarterbacks coach at University of San Diego this past season, where he was the youngest offensive coordinator in Division One FCS. So
Well,
there you go.
it was a good hire
Yeah.
from the standpoint that he seems to be able to offer um, football from a different perspective.
Yep.
So we'll definitely see, and this could be just Ben Johnson's way of trying to groom the next group of young offensive people coming up through the league.
Yep. So the next coach on the list is another quarterback that's coming over from the Detroit Lions coaching staff, and that's JT
Mm-hmm.
Barrett. He's going to
Mm-hmm.
be the quarterbacks coach for the team, which,
Yep.
it's another player, it's another coach that was a former player that had
Mm-hmm.
experience. He didn't play much in the NFL. He had a little short stint in the NFL, and he went over to the
Mm-hmm.
CFL for a bit, but he played college football at a high level because he was at Ohio State.
Ohio
Um,
State.
Look, if he was obviously there when Jared Goff was there and helped out a bit, again, he's going to be a nice another voice in there for Caleb Williams to help him
Mm-hmm.
out,
Mm-hmm.
and really teach him the position that needs to be, especially for him. I think it's good because he was a dual threat quarterback. Caleb
Mm-hmm.
Williams is a dual threat quarterback, even though he's morally wanting to stay in the pocket. But
Mm-hmm.
regardless, this is another good hire. I'm good with the hire.
I'm good with it as well too. And you also tell that a lot of these hires so far, the ones that we've mentioned outside of Dennis Allen, they are more or less geared to the passing um, side of the offense.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, we're gonna get to you know a couple of their other hires that do other things, but this is what now the third that they've hired with a specialty in passing, other than Ben Johnson.
Yep.
So they already see that the key to the Bears' future is Caleb Williams,
Yep.
and we got to make sure we got enough coaches around him, enough voices in his ear, so that he can do this thing correctly.
Yep. So yeah. The next coach, which I was really shocked to hear that he was being hired to the staff, but another very experienced coach who's been all over the place and especially worked alongside with Ryan Poles, with the Chiefs, and Eric Bieniemy is the running backs coach this year, and I think that's a
Yep.
really good home run hire. Um, his last position was the UCLA offensive coordinator position. I am a UCLA Bruins football fan. His offense was all right, but I think it was more due to the inabilities of the Ethan Garbers as the quarterback, who I did not like. But
Yeah.
regardless, I think this is a good role for him. He was a running back. He's he's got the experience of basically being in the building. I'm guessing the Chiefs didn't have any open positions for him to go back to Kansas City. So he's coming alongside with Ben Johnson. And again, I feel like this connection is happening. One, Ben Johnson probably wanted him in the room for more experience because he's been an offensive coordinator not only with the Chiefs, he's been an offensive coordinator with the Commanders and an offensive coordinator with a college team. So he's got tons of experience. He can definitely come in the building, teach these running backs a bunch of stuff. I know, whatever is going to happen with the running back room, I do think they're going to have to get another running back. Preferably, I'd rather get it in the draft in the later round to back
Yeah.
up Swift, barring whatever, decisions they want to come to Swift. Because I guess people are like, well, Ben Johnson was there when Swift was there and they got rid of him. But we'll see where it goes. But I'm okay with it. Clearly, this was a Poles connection. Poles felt like this was probably best for him, and I'm okay with
Yep.
it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it as well too. And the intriguing part is that Swift has got 3 more years left on his contract. So
Well, they had
let's
two
see
more
how
years.
this goes. I thought he signed for 4.
No, he signed for 3.
Okay, well then he's here for multiple years. Let's just say that. So it's going to be quite interesting how that works out, considering the other running backs they have in
Ian Wheeler, he's coming off
yeah.
his ACL, and he looked very promising, and they look very high. Well, Poles'
They were
staff
very
looks,
high on him when he tore that ACL
yeah,
too. So we'll see how that happens. So I'm pretty sure that come training camp, I still think that in the draft they're probably going to wind up drafting a running back, whether it be in the how late in the later rounds we're talking about. No one
mhm,
really knows, but um, I'm pretty sure Bieniemy is going to have his say as far as who the Bears should bring in as far as running backs.
yeah. Again, it's a Poles connection there, and it's another coach that's going to hold the players accountable. I
Yeah.
bet you he's gonna
Oh,
be chewing
yeah,
out
for sure.
he's
Oh,
definitely
for
be chewing
sure.
out these running backs if they ain't, running through the right hole, the right gap, or they're doing too
Yeah.
much dancing, or even if it's a pass situation, they just don't block their guy the right way they need to be blocked. Well, then he's
Yeah.
gonna get on them.
And he already has a reputation of being a tough coach.
Yeah.
He
Um,
already got that reputation. Players have complained about how he trains. So I just don't see anything changing. But at the same time, though, he was probably brought in to be that way and to toughen these running backs up because our running backs last year,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, everybody on this team was soft, if we're being honest.
yeah, I gotta admit, I mean, you know, maybe not Roshan Johnson. I like Roshan.
But
Roshan
he
really,
barely played. That's the problem.
well, that's true. I mean, he did have a concussion, but he got that concussion running in head first. You know what I mean? So he was a hard runner. So I think when it's all said and done, Bieniemy was a good hire, and I think he'll be another really good addition to this coaching staff.
The next team that's up there, or the next coach, is Anthony Blevins. He's going to be the assistant special teams coach. Blevins brings in 21 years of coaching experience,
Yes.
um, including a decade on the NFL sidelines, to Chicago. Prior to spending a portion of the 2024 season with the Birmingham Stallions of the UFL, Blevins spent
Hmm.
5 years with the Arizona Cardinals from 2013 to 2017 as their assistant special teams coach before a five-season tenure with the New York Giants from 2018 to 2022 in a variety of roles, working with the special teams unit, linebackers, defensive backs, and defensive backs. Again, another coach that has a tons of, is a more lesser known coach in terms of, I guess, name, but he's got 21 years of coaching experience.
Correct.
You'll take
And on
him.
top of that, it's on the special team side of the
Yep.
ball. So Coach Hightower just handle your business, and they won't have to promote this guy.
Yep. And then he knows some defense. He can
And
beat
he
up in the
and he
defensive ring as
does,
well.
yeah. So I mean, it's pretty. It's getting really interesting in Hallis Hall now, man, because it seems like now the competition is really starting with the coaches, because you got a lot of you have a few coaches that you know that have that title of passing game this and passing game that. And there's another one on the list that we haven't mentioned yet. He's got that title as well too. So it's gonna be it's pretty interesting how things are gonna shape out.
Yeah. Another coach on the staff, Zach Cable. He's another offensive quality control coach. He's
Hmm.
actually, I guess, there on the Bears website. He's in his second season of the Bears, so it's another Eberflus holdover.
Yeah.
Again, nothing else to say. It's the same thing we said about the first guy, Matt Aponte. He's going to be another guy that's in the building that's overseeing stuff and making sure the offense runs
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Probably be one of those guys that'll just be off on the side just to hand information about certain stats and analytics over to Declan Doyle and Ben Johnson, just so they can make sure that they have all the information needed to come up with an offensive game plan.
Yep. So the number one positional coach that I know a lot of people were looking at, even when Ben Johnson got hired, was like, all right, who are we going to hire as the offensive line coach? And they
Yeah.
got the guy at offensive line coach, and that's the former New Orleans Saints offensive line coach, Dan Rochar. He's
Hmm.
entering his 41st season in the coaching profession. He will lead
Yep.
the offensive group for Chicago prior to joining the Bears. Rochar spent the last 2 seasons at offensive line coach at Tulane University, which
Yep.
followed a 10-year stretch with New Orleans Saints, over which I think he was with Sean Payton. Um, Rochar has held that role of offensive coordinator on 5 separate occasions, and in his final 2 seasons with the Saints, he oversaw the run game coordination for New Orleans offense over the 5 seasons leading the Saints offensive line in 2016 to 2020. And
Yep.
the Saints claimed NFC North or the NFC South division titles on 4 occasions. He spent the last 2 seasons under Tulane University, which was 2023 and 2024. In a 2-year span, they helped the Green Wave reach the AAC championship game each season. Um,
11 wins too.
Yep. Yep. The first in his first season at Tulane, the Green Wave reached 11 wins, making it the first occurrence of back-to-back double-digit season wins in program history. So this
Yep.
guy has a lot of experience. This is a home run hire. He's going to be the type of guy that's going to come up in here, be that no BS type of offensive line coach. If you ain't not blocking up to his capabilities that he wants, you're going to be taking a seat on the bench. And I hope for whatever decisions on the offensive line that Ryan Poles is going to make, this guy is in the room, and Ryan Poles asks him, "What's your thoughts?" And he's going to be the guy that watched the film and say, "Nah, he's got some good capabilities, but
Yeah.
it's not what we need. Go
Yeah.
get this guy."
Yeah. And what I like most of all, and I've already said that about a couple of things, but all in all, it sounds like McCaskey finally said, Ryan, I'm tired. You got it. You got it. Go get it. Go get these dudes, man. Um, I'm sorry we handicapped you. I don't know if that's happened. I don't have any information that says it did. But, they finally seem to have finally allowed Ryan Poles to put this staff together. That's what it looks like to me. Because he went and got some guys with some super crazy experience in their fields. And to get this guy with, NFL experience, I mean, he was one of the coaches when, Alvin Kamara was in his heyday.
Yep.
And Alvin Kamara was balling. So, I mean, this was his offensive line coach. This was the coach that put that offensive line together that allowed Alvin Kamara to be the superstar that right now everyone know he is right now. So in that regard, man, yes, home run, knocked it out the park, and it's making us as Bears fans really look forward to the season.
Yep. And then the assistant offensive line coach is Kyle Devan. He is actually another former player. He's an NFL former offensive lineman who started right guard for the Colts in Super Bowl XLIV. Was that the '06 one or the one in '09?
You said IV or VI?
XLIV.
IV, that would be 9, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the thing. And then he also went back to his alma mater, which was Oregon State, and Oregon State had some of the best offensive lines the past few years.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously they've done their homework. They put this staff together. They've gotten some really good resumes in, and Bears did it, man.
Yep.
They did it. It's not very often we talk about coaching with the Bears other than the head coach.
Yep.
But we all know that this staff needed a full overhaul from the rooter to the tutor, and it looks like they did that with a couple of holdovers.
Yep. We'll be back to talk the rest of the coaching hires. We're running out of time, but we'll be back.
All right.
All right, we're back. Just some other information that I was looking over for Kyle Devan. He spent 1 season as an offensive analyst at the University of Michigan 2021. Um, Prior to that, he was the run game coordinator slash offensive line coach at University of Arizona from 2019 to 2020. Obviously, he was at Oregon State. Again, and then he played in the NFL. He appeared in 40 regular season games, 26 starts, as well as 4 postseason starts. He was with the Colts from '09 to '10, the Eagles from 2011, and the Tennessee Titans in 2012. And look, he's got a lot of experience. He played in the league. We'll take it.
Yeah. And
So,
again, that seems to be the theme across the board, is that these coaches have experience, and they have experience not only at the collegiate level, they have experience at the NFL level. So, um, and experience with multiple teams. So it looks like they are going after these, what's the phrase, leaders of men.
mhm.
I like it.
So yeah. Another holdover is Jim Dre. He's the tight ends coach. Again,
Yep.
another coach that has had a lot of experience. You know, he's been with the Cardinals and then the Browns and then Stanford, but again, you know, nothing's gonna change there. Again, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, me too. And then on top of that, Declan Doyle has experience with at the tight end position as well too, because that's what he did in Denver.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just they have coaches that can help players in a myriad of ways. And again, we've said it many times in these broadcasts today. I like it.
Yep. So the next coach is Jeremy Garrett, who is the defensive line coach. He's a coaching veteran for over 15 years at the NFL and collegiate level and even high school levels.
Yep.
He basically his last position was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Garrett spent 2 seasons at the collegiate level, leading the defensive line at Liberty University in 2022. He then joined Auburn's coaching staff in 2023. He led at Liberty, Garrett led a unit that led the country in tackles for loss at 122 or 121 as defensive end, one of that players there. He also had Marcus Harris, the defensive tackle at Auburn, that earned first team All SEC.
Yep.
There, he also spent 2 seasons as the assistant defensive line coach with the Cleveland Browns in the 2020 to 2021 season. You know, obviously, you know, if you came from there, like you Miles Garrett and everything. He also worked at Vanderbilt University on the defense as a defensive quality control coach, and his first coaching tenure began in South Haven High School in Mississippi, where he served as an assistant coach in 2010 before spending 8 years at Nashville's Ensworth High School, Tennessee, elevating to head coach. So he has head coaching experience, albeit
Correct.
at the high school level. He's been a head coach. So
Correct.
as another person, you know, Ben Johnson can go rely on for any head coaching experience because he's been in the role. He understands
Correct.
time management situations, how to
Correct.
obviously the difference between NFL level coaching and high school coaching is different, but still
Yeah.
being a leader in that locker room for the players.
Correct. And that's the main thing as well too. Just you have coaching from all different aspects. You have coaching from all different diversities. So and I think, and again, just like Kevin Warren said, we want leaders of men. And I think with this particular staff so far, on paper, that's what they're getting.
Yeah. And then he also played 4 years at Ole Miss. So,
It's a SEC school, man. What can I tell you, man? What do
yeah.
they?
But that was in '04 to '07. Were they an SEC school in that time frame?
Ole Miss? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You might be thinking about Missouri.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The next coach, his name is Matt Giordano. Matt Giordano is the assistant's defensive backs coach and safeties. He was a former player. He's a 9-year NFL veteran.
Yep.
He joins the Bears after serving the last 2 seasons as a defensive assistant with the Saints, primarily working in the secondary. So he's coming over with Dennis
Dennis
Allen.
Allen.
So that's the thing. Prior to his NFL coaching ranks in 2023, he spent 1 season as a volunteer assistant at Fresno State University in 2022.
Hmm.
Um, he entered the coaching ranks at his alma mater high school in Buchanan High School in Clovis, California, where he initially joined the staff in 2015 as the defensive coordinator, who then also he elevated to head coach in 2016, another head coaching individual. Over his 6 seasons at the helm, he amassed a 51-16 record. Now, before his coaching tenure, he was an NFL defensive back, a fourth round
That's right.
selection by the Indianapolis Colts in the '05 draft. He appeared in 116 career games for the Colts in '05 to '08, the Packers in '09, the Saints in 2010, the Raiders in 2011 and 12, and the St. Louis Rams in 2013. He totaled over 200 tackles, one sack, 11 interceptions, and including two returns for a touchdown, 16 passes defend, two forced fumbles, and 52 special teams tackle. He also won the World Championship for the Colts in '06, sadly beating the Bears. So yeah.
Beating the Bears. And I think that's where I remember him from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So again, it's another good hire, a lot of experience, and he's going to be assistant to the coach who we're going to bring up right now, and Al Harris.
Mhm.
Man, this
Ex
that
ex ex Packers.
that's a good hire. So
Is a really good hire. And again, he's doing multiple duties, if
yep,
I'm right.
he's pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach.
And defensive backs coach. I've never seen a coach that actually coaches, a portion of the offense and a portion of the defense. But Al Harris was one of the better defensive backs in the league
Yep.
um, during his playing days. Now, granted, it was with the rival Packers.
Yep.
So, maybe some of that juju will rub off on us. But yeah, not only was he a Pro Bowler, but yeah, he's a damn fine coach as well too. I'm glad we got him.
Yeah, he was a 15-year NFL veteran in the secondary, earning All-Pro honors and two Pro Bowl selections as a cornerback. He spent the
Yep.
last 13 seasons as a coach. His last job was obviously the Dallas Cowboys, a role that he was elevated to after leading Dallas secondary since 2020. Over the last 4 seasons, Harris Cowboys defensive backs helped Dallas owned the most interceptions by any team in the NFL over a 4-year span, amassing
Yep.
a league high 72 interceptions from 2021 to 2024. Look, this dude, he is going to be a really good coach. He come over
Yep.
from Dallas Cowboys. Trayvon Diggs is the number one guy. I know in this thing, whole piece that the Bears mentioned, he was a guy that got De'Aaron Bland, if you remember, to play really good football that one season. Um, I love the hire. It's good. And then I think it's not only going to help Jalen Johnson, it's going to help all these other corners
Correct.
um, under him, or
Tyreek
not just the
Tyreek
corners, the other
Steven.
defensive backs.
Well, I mean specifically the corners, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon. I mean, Jalen Johnson's already all pro, but this guy can make the number two and number three. And I think more so than Tyreek Stevenson specifically needs mentorship. He
Yeah.
needs leadership. He needs that guy that he can look up to. So then that way he's on the field thinking about the betterment of the team
Yep.
instead of,
Himself.
the betterment of himself in that particular moment. So this hire right here, I'd probably say after the offensive line coach.
Yeah.
This hire right here was probably their best hire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prior to that,
I'm going to say overall, he was their third best hire after Johnson and the
yeah.
offensive line coach.
Yeah.
So I got to admit, this is going to be something. And then on top of that, we got Jaquan Brisker,
Yeah.
who was an up and coming Pro Bowl as well too. Man, this staff right here is looking crazy good.
Yeah.
Crazy good.
Um,
So
yeah, more information on him. Prior to Dallas, he spent one season at Florida Atlantic University in 2019, and he was with the Chiefs for 6 years, starting as a defensive assistant. Obviously, those years, you know, he helped get the team to the Super Bowl and get it to a constant playoffs appearances and everything. He coached up Marcus Peters there, and
mhm.
then he was a coaching intern with the Miami Dolphins back in 2012, but, he played 15 years. He had a few years with the Eagles in 98 to 2002, Green Bay Packers from 03 to 09, the Dolphins in 2010, and the St. Louis Rams in 2011, after being selected by the Buccaneers in 1997. He's also a member of the Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
So the dude's got been there, done that. He can teach these players like the lessons he's learned, but also get
Yep.
these players. And again, it's another guy that's going to hold these players accountable. I don't think he's
Correct.
going to let Tyreek Stevenson do what he did at the end of the Washington
I
Commanders.
I agree. I agree. I agree totally. I mean, I just think, and then on top of that, the scuffles he got into it with Williams, um, of Detroit as well too, and just it was just. I think the biggest thing Al Harris can bring is again that experience and that mentorship that this young man needs.
Yeah.
He needs that one person that he can look up to and just simply say, hey, I don't want to let my coach down. I don't want to let my team down. And this should come from Al Harris. And I got to admit, this was a home run hire right here for me.
Yeah.
And on top of that, as a defensive backs coach, he can help out the passing game, which is absolutely another issue and another thing that they're trying to do to make sure that Caleb Williams understands the passing game from a defensive backs perspective.
Yeah.
So great hire. This coaching staff is looks
On paper.
on paper, on paper, just looks it is just Pro Bowl caliber.
Yep. Um, the linebackers coach is Richard Smith. He brings over 45 years of coaching experience, 37 of those years coming in the NFL. The last position he had was the linebackers group for the Indianapolis Colts from 2022 to 2024.
Oh yeah, that's that Shaq Barrett a group. He
Mm-hmm.
was a but see he was also well no he wasn't. Was he with Eberflus? No,
Eberflus
no.
got hired in
What was it
2020.
20?
No,
Was
yeah,
it
20. He was
20 or
2022 to
21?
2024. So he had at
Yeah.
least a 1 year. No, he wasn't with Eberflus.
No,
No.
he Eberflus got in 21.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but at the same time though, he had a really good line broke headed by Shaq Barrett.
Yep.
So I mean,
Zaire
so
Franklin,
yep. So he
DJ
he
Speed.
he has some really good linebackers that were built on quickness and speed. And yes, again, this coaching staff is looking really good. So I gotta admit, can't wait until camps open up in September, man. Can't wait.
Yep.
Or was it
Some
July?
well, camp opens up because the mini camp, rookie mini camp, initially starts first in like May-ish area.
Right, but actual camps, don't they
Like
open up in July?
July or yeah, I think July.
Yeah. So again, I can't wait, man. And then on top of it, the draft. Oh my goodness gracious. It is
Yep.
so cool to be a Bears fan. It just mm. I mean
Yeah.
the last what 3 to 4 months was just
It was a honeymoon
torture.
phase.
Yeah, man, it was torture for a Bears fan, you know. Um After that England game, I mean everything just bottomed out and just went from, sugar to sugar honey iced tea.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Smith was also with the Raiders linebackers group in 2021. He guided Denzel Perryman to earn
Hmm.
his first Pro Bowl in Vegas. He also served as a linebackers coach for the Chargers for 4 seasons from 2017 to 2020. In Los Angeles. He helped Kenneth Murray Jr. And then what is it? He also was with Thomas Davis Sr. When he went over to the Chargers, and then even had Drew Tranquil, who's with the Chiefs now.
With the Chiefs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was the defensive coordinator with the Atlanta Falcons from 2015 to 2016. That was the year they ended up going to the Super Bowl. He had
Hmm.
Vic Beasley under him. Right then and there, he was the linebackers coach. with the Denver Broncos, including the 2013 team that won the championship with Von Miller. He served as linebackers coach for 2 seasons with the Panthers in 09, 010. Helped John Beeson. Defense was with the Texans, where he had D'Amico Ryans as a player and Mario Williams as a player. This dude has tons of experience, like legitimately. Like he's putting.
It really shows just how much Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson have done their homework
Yep.
to put this staff together. And again, it's really good to see that the Chicago Bears are allowing Ryan Poles to put this staff together based on how he feels. They started with Ben Johnson and then signing Ben Johnson to a really good contract, and then working with Ben to put this staff together. So I gotta admit, I mean, again, it's just one of those things where as you can just, I mean, you're speechless as far as all the experience and all um the know-how that these guys have coming in and from diverse levels of football. So I gotta admit, I really do appreciate, the job that Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson have done is putting this staff together.
Yep. And then the last guy we'll talk about is the main passing game coordinator, and it's Press Taylor. He's coming over from the Jacksonville
Yep.
Jaguars.
Yep.
Um, no, it's fine. It is what it is. And funny enough, like Shane Waldron is going to Jacksonville, so
And
he's
we're
going to be
getting,
the pass
yeah,
game.
yeah,
So
great for them.
yeah.
You know,
Prior to Jacksonville, he spent 1 season in 2021 with the Colts. He helped that offensive unit. He spent 8 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles, which also includes the 2017 year where they defeated the New England Patriots. So he was basically with Doug Peterson, and that's why he was in Jacksonville, and now
in
he's coming over
Jacksonville.
here. So
Correct.
yeah,
Correct.
I'm fine
So
with it. It's just again, it's more overseeing the offense and things like that, but that's
that's
basically.
correct. That's correct. So, and usually passing game coordinators, they are usually in line to become OCs. So let's be on the lookout for that moving forward as well. But if the Bears are successful with this staff, um, I wouldn't be shocked because the only place now to go is up.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's basically all the coaching staff, some of the major names. The rest of the names were basically just assistants to the main,
Correct.
positional coaches. But
Yeah.
regardless, the coaching staff is stacked. Only other thing I gotta say, we already talked about Walker. They cut Gerald Everett as well. Gerald
Yep.
Everett is gone. That's another $5 million that they're gonna be saving in the cap space. So altogether, cutting Walker and Everett, you get $10 million back in
That's
true
correct.
salary.
And I'm pretty sure they're not done.
Yeah.
um, because I think they probably have a list of players that they want to bring into the fold. How much is going to take? How much is going to cost to bring in draft picks? They probably have already. Right now, I don't know if they might know who their number one guy off their board is going to be.
Uh,
By now, they should know. Here it is. We're about to enter into March, and the draft is in April. I'm pretty sure they've got a list of picks already. We're looking at players as well too that they are looking to sign. Their whoever's over their salary cap, their capologist is probably working day and night just to make sure that the players that they want to sign that cap is right before they decide to start spending any dollars. The Bears look really good. And I gotta admit, you gotta give Ryan Poles his chops, man. Um, give him his chops, man. He had a lot of people down on him, I included, because I was actually saying that if Kevin Warren, dude, if you don't have confidence in him, get rid of him, let him go. But apparently, they gave him one last shot, and he hit it out the park with this coaching staff.
yep. Yeah, so Gerald Everett being cut, I explained it in my other video, but it's a move that needed to be done.
Yeah, I mean, what was he doing?
He
What was he
provided
doing?
nothing.
Absolutely nothing. I mean, there was a lot of times he looked out of place. He looked like he didn't know where he was going. But the only place he knew where he was going was to the bank to earn $5 million.
Yeah. And then the coaching staff, for whatever reason, felt like they played him more than their actual like starting tight end.
Correct.
I don't know. Regardless, at first it looked like it was going to be a solid move, and then you see well how they used him, and it's like, okay, yeah, what a no.
Yeah,
So
whatever.
I hope that they actually get a quality backup tight end, somebody that's not there. I'm done with the Mercedes Lewis. I'm done with the Gerald Everett's. Get an actual competent complementary piece to Cole Kmet as a
Yeah,
backup. Whether
yeah,
that's using one of these young guys that you have on the practice squad that showed promise in the preseason the last few years, give them an opportunity. See what they can bring. Or you go out there, maybe you go find in free agency a solid tight end that he won't get in the way of Cole Kmet, but it's just solid. Or maybe you use one of the latter draft picks we have. You draft one or you get an undrafted one. Do something.
yeah. Yep. Oh, I agree with you totally. There's nothing else needs to be said about it. I mean, Cole Kmet is your number one guy, and it looked at times as if Caleb Williams didn't even know he existed.
Yeah. So, and knowing Ben Johnson offense, they did feature the tight end a lot.
Yep.
I don't know this past year, they not as much because Sam Laporta was mostly hurt this past season.
True.
And realistically, this past year for tight ends wasn't the best anyways, for whatever reason why that may be. I don't know why. But that's kind of the thing. And then the last news is it looks like Ian Cunningham's going to be sticking around again because
Mhm.
the Jaguars ended up hiring a front office member from the Rams. So,
That
um,
wasn't a bad hire, though.
mhm,
That wasn't a bad hire. This is a highly intelligent individual. So, I mean, we'll see as far as you know what he decides to do analytically, because that's pretty much where he has all of his chops is in analytics. So
yeah,
we'll see where that goes. But all in all, I didn't think that was a really bad hire.
yeah.
And
I'm not mad at
and,
Ian.
and Jaguar, and I'm sorry, and the Jaguars have been known to make some really bad hires recently.
Yeah, it's still kind of questionable that they hired the head coach before the GM, but we'll see how
That's
that goes.
that's true.
But in terms of Ian Cunningham, again, I mentioned in my other video, I'm fine with it. It's another, guy in the building that, again, he can work alongside Ryan Poles to try to get this team turned around in the right direction. Again, what more can I be said about? I don't have as much issues with Ian Cunningham. I have more issues with Poles and his approach to certain things because we still remember, like, Ian Cunningham was the guy that talked down Ryan Poles from trading up to try to get Roma Dunze for whatever reason. Um, so that's the thing there. I'm fine with the move coming back. It does suck that he doesn't leave because if he did leave and did take a job, we would have got 3 third-round picks, which would have helped our draft capital a lot.
No, that's right.
But look, you can't if the team ain't gonna hire him and offer him a job, well then there's nothing we can do. He's just gonna come back.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that had a lot to do with it as well, too. I
Yeah,
mean, Tennessee was probably like, thanks, but no thanks. We're going to keep our draft picks. Jacksonville was probably the same way. So, but we do keep he's a competent management official. So just welcome back and welcome him back into the fold, and let's go ahead and do this thing.
yeah. I will say it is interesting. I don't think it's just the draft pick stuff. I will say it is interesting how this guy has yet to be hired as a GM. Even before now, maybe you could play the role of the fact, well, the last 3 seasons with the Bears under with him, they haven't necessarily been good, but he's been with the Eagles and the Ravens, who are pretty
Yeah,
good franchises. So
yeah.
I
Well,
don't know why he's not getting hired.
The Bears' issues for the most part have been about McCaskey.
Yeah.
When if McCaskey sticks his nose out of football business and let the football people make the decisions, then My belief is this is the result of what you get. I think he was hands off. That's just my personal opinion. I don't have anything to support it. I think he was hands off and allowed Ryan Post and Ian Cunningham to cook. And look at what they came up with so far.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what
Yeah.
that's
Because
honestly I've been saying.
you honestly think Ben Johnson would have came here for $5 million?
Nope. Richard
No.
Smith's the agent.
Yeah. No.
You know Chicago, so
No. No.
yeah,
So I'm that $13 million contract per year that Ben Johnson is getting tells me that McCaskey was like, dude, just I'm gonna let you do you and turn it around. And
yeah,
he might I don't know if he said I don't care how much it costs. I don't think he said I don't want to give McCaskey that kind of credit, but he just probably said, hey man, I'm gonna let you cook. You do you, you bring these cats in and I we want to win. Okay. All right, don't worry about it. I appreciate the confidence and I got you.
yeah,
And look at what Ryan Poles has done.
yeah. That's why I believe. Like I think George to an extent finally understands. I got to stay out the way. Just let the
Get out of
dudes
it.
do what they need to do.
Get out of that. These are football people for a reason.
And I think that has more to do with Kevin Warren being involved, making George do the uncomfortable.
Correct. Hey, if you really want this, you want this new stadium? Yeah, let Ryan Poles cook.
So yeah.
Let him cook.
And then also lastly, the biggest news. I never made a video about it, but Virginia McCaskey, she passed away a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Um, Again, she was basically the owner of the team. Obviously, it was a very emotional day when that news came out, especially
Yeah.
for as much as Bear fans do not like the McCaskey family for everything that they've done and tortured us through all these years because of their incompetencies as football-minded individuals. At the end of the day, they're the reason why, outside of George Halas, is the reason why the Bears are here and why we're fans of the Bears.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything negative about Virginia McCaskey. Yeah, you can make the argument things could have been handled differently in terms of certain aspects in the past and everything, but she was basically a patriarch. She was one of the last few living family members of the NFL, like freaking way back in the day.
Yeah.
And to live to 102 years of age, like you've seen a lot. Like she went through the Great Depression, World War II, all these crazy accomplishments. Seeing all these things with the NFL as a whole in terms of the league and how it merged to become the league it is today. She's seen that.
Yeah.
She's obviously seen two Super Bowls with the Bears and everything. You know, I was talking with one of my coworkers at the time, I was like, man, if I could live to 102, you've seen everything. That's
Yeah.
basically 3, 4, 5 decades of your life.
Yeah. And I think most uh, Bears fans, I think they attribute um, the failures of the Bears on the McCaskey men.
Yeah.
For me, Virginia was beloved. For me,
Yep.
she was beloved because I mean, but the failures of the franchise itself as a football organization, and what they did on the field, for me, that was the McCaskey men of the family. But for me, being a Bears fan, as long as I've been a Bears fans, yeah, I gotta admit, the passing of Virginia really hurt and hit home. Because I mean that was Mama Bear, man. If you really
Yeah.
want to be honest about it, that was Mama Bear, and she's no longer around. The franchise wasn't able to get her a championship
Yep.
in that top row. Although she was around when we got one in '85.
Yep.
But she wasn't at the helm back then. But Again, she was beloved. You can talk to a lot of Bears fans, and they wouldn't have a bad thing to say about Mama Bear. So, um, the Bears franchise, I'm pretty sure is still in mourning because we lost a great one. So, our condolences and thoughts and prayers go out to the McCaskey family and the rest of the Bears family, and hopefully, they can get one in her memory.
Yep. I'm not gonna bring anything about the future ownership of the team. I'm not gonna even. Who knows? I
That's
don't think they
that's
would give up a lifelong or a family business type of thing there. But all I ask for is, as long as George and the other McCaskey family members change the ways of how they operate business with this organization and provides them winning ways, that's all I can ask for.
I mean, if they're hands off, that's fine. Just like I said, the problem with the Bears franchise have been, has been the McCaskey men, not Virginia.
Yep.
So, I don't know if that'll change. I'm hoping it does.
Yep.
Right now, it looks like there's a sign that it has changed. So we'll see where it goes moving forward.
Yep. But anyways, we're gonna got it for guys. Yep. Well, we'll probably be back talking NFL football. I'll probably give updates on certain free agency moves and things like that. If it's a big free agency move, we'll definitely do a video together. But I'll try to be up
Yeah.
more on top of just world NFL news and things like that. But it's gonna be a crazy, crazy season. Basketball's coming down to the freaking wire for the playoff stuff, and baseball's starting up. But
Oh,
yeah,
we haven't did an NBA video all year, and I can't see us doing one moving forward. The game is just so
yeah,
damn pitiful right now. It's ridiculous. So, but we do got the draft coming in April. We got baseball coming back.
yeah,
So, I mean, there are things to talk about.
yeah.
But will it be unless someone does something just totally amazing in the NBA, I just can't really see us discussing anything about it.
Yeah.
Unless it's something you want to discuss.
Not
You know,
much.
my Yeah, my Bulls suck. They're trying their best to get Cooper Flag without trying to say we want Cooper Flag. And your Clippers look
Average.
okay.
Average. Kawhi ain't played
Yeah, they
today
look
because he already got hurt
okay.
again.
Yeah, he got hurt again. And I was like, okay, all right, well, oh, you got players just anyway. It's a mess in the NBA, and there's not really much they can do about it right now.
Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna got it for guys.
Yeah.
Catch you guys in the next video.
Yep.
Till then, guys, stay safe up there. You'll have a good rest of your day. Peace.